Good morning. Hello. Morning, afternoon, who knows these days? The sun's out. I guess it's daytime. I'm Emily. Welcome to another bit of yoga. I thought today we would concentrate on one of my favorite muscle groups, the standing stabilizers, the glutes. And what we're going to do is first we're going to mobilize them, then we'll strengthen them, and then we'll stretch them, and then we can rest, and then we'll fill up our half an hour. So the special tool for this class, if you have one, is some kind of massage ball. I have, this is a, what are they called? Travel roller ball. Maybe you have a lacrosse ball. Tennis balls work. You can even bundle up some socks and make that work. Hopefully you have something like this that you can work with today. So go ahead, pause the video if you need to, get what you need to get, and then come on back. Just reminds me I should put those things in the notes if you need a little bit of extra tools. Okay, so we're going to use the ball to get into the glutes, into the piriformis a little bit as well. So first we'll start on the right side. You're going to come sit down, bring the ball underneath your right butt, and then you just press up into it. Maybe you have both feet on the floor. Maybe you just find somewhere that feels really interesting and you pause there. If you would like to go a bit deeper, then you cross your right ankle over top of the left thigh, really keeping that right ankle active. And then that brings you into mostly a lengthened position, and then you can roll into that. It also helps to get into the piriformis. So a few breaths here, just finding really interesting spaces. And if you find somewhere that you feel like you just want to pause and sit on it, then do that and breathe. Or maybe you're moving around the whole time. You might even get right up onto that sit bone. Sometimes that feels super good, or at least interesting. Last few moments on this side. You can also do this with a dowel. I should have mentioned that. Your broomstick, right? You can use that on an angle. Last couple breaths. Yow. You know when you haven't done it in a while. Okay, and then gently just sit down. Take whatever is out from underneath you, the ball or the towel, and then just notice whatever you notice from one side to the other. Maybe you don't notice any difference. Maybe it feels like you're on a listing ship. And then we'll switch to the opposite side. So grab your dowel or ball and bring it underneath the left butt cheek. And again, as always, one side can be a totally different experience to the other. So you're just going to have to go where you need to go. Maybe you don't need to add as much pressure on this side. Maybe you do. Right, so wherever you need to go, and then find those interesting spots and do resist the urge to roll off of them right away. Right, because it'll give you a little bit more release, as long as it's not painful. As soon as you're flinching back from the sensation, then you're not going to get the fascial release. Right, so what is this doing? This is finding bundles or sticky parts in the fascia, right? That connective tissue that weaves in through muscles and bones. It hydrates that so that the muscles can glide better, the muscle spindles or fibers. Last few breaths. I feel like the more I talk through it, the less sensation I have, so that's probably not a bad thing. You can stay longer if you want to. You have the ability to pause that video if you want. When you're done, you're done. Ditch the ball or the dowel off to the side. And then just find a tall seat. Notice whatever you notice. Last couple breaths. And gently flicker your eyelids open. As always, let's make our way to hands and knees. because it's never a bad idea to just loosen up a little bit through the spine. Cat and cow, little wiggle. Roll around through the spine. Couple breaths, moving however you need to. Right, you know your body better than I do. Okay, bring your hands shoulder width apart. A little draw of belly button to spine. Spread your fingers really wide, tuck the toes. Exhale, up and back, downward facing dog. Just a couple breaths, really just using this as a moment of transition. And then bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of the mat. Standing forward fold, bend your knees. You could stay here, head heavy, neck long, so probably looking between your legs rather than at the floor. You could cross opposite elbows with hands, whatever you need. You could even bring your hands behind the head. And then release your hands, belly button to spine. Slowly start to roll up to standing. One vertebra at a time. Fix your clothes, whatever you need to. Couple loops of the shoulders up, back, and down. Little wiggle, little shake. Awesome. So for this next section, I'm going to use a block or two underneath my feet. Now, we don't all have the option of using two blocks. If you don't have anything you can stand on to give yourself a little bit of height, but also a little bit of wobbliness, like books or something like that, don't worry about it. You can just stand on the floor. It's not a big deal. So if you have blocks, if you happen to, then set them up one in front of the other, like this, so that you have lots of space for your feet to come and stand on them. Sometimes you don't want your toes, right, to be hanging off the edge. So if you only have one block, probably just best to use the floor or some books. And then step up. Okay, so we've got extra gravity working here, right? Because all of a sudden you're about 3 to 4 inches taller than you normally are, which is cool. But find that buoyancy on the supporting leg, a little draw belly button to spine, and then simply pick up the left leg and then tap it back down. Right, so just this movement, really simple. Maybe you tap down every time, maybe you let it hover. And we don't have to be heroes here. You don't need a lot of these, maybe just 6 or 8, maybe even 10. If you have those foam blocks, those blue or black ones at home, you're probably feeling your feet wobbling quite a bit more than if you're on these sort of stable cork ones that I have. And then shake it out. We'll switch to the opposite side. Left foot now, either up on your blocks or whatever you're using. Okay, little micro bend in that knee, because if the knee's not bent, the glutes aren't working as much as they could. And then just finding that movement, lifting the right knee. Maybe you tap down in between. Maybe you let it hover. This is really good work for me for my knee and ankle injury that I suffered a couple months ago. So this stability work is fantastic. All right, and if you're feeling that wobbling in the feet, it's the proprioceptors really starting to fire. Okay, and then shake it out. Again, you don't need to do too many of these on each side. Come back to the right foot. Find that buoyancy, belly button to spine. Pick up the leg and then extend it forward. And then knee high and then extend. And that's all. A few more of this movement now. Woo! It can be fun. It can be flowing. Doesn't matter if you fall. It's all good. And then when you're done, you're done. We'll switch sides. Maybe you're feeling your glutes already starting to fire up. Maybe not. Knee high and extend. Right? But if that knee isn't bent, you're missing out on so much fun tomorrow with your butt. That sounded dodgy. Last couple breaths here. Good. And when you're ready, shake it out. We've got 2 more sets. Come back to that right foot. Buoyancy on that supporting knee. Pick up the left leg And now this time it's getting a little bit weird. We're going to actually rotate at the hip and then come back. So our body is used to supporting the weight of the leg forward, but maybe not as used to supporting the weight of the leg out. Some of you maybe will extend that leg as it comes out. Belly bend to spine. Again, micro bend or even a deeper bend on that supporting knee. Doesn't take too many of these till you feel everything firing up. And then we'll switch it out. Again, you don't have to be a hero. You don't have to do a million per side. Find that buoyancy, belly bend to spine. And then start with the basic movement. You can always tap down if you need to. If it feels better to, maybe you extend the leg. Couple more breaths. Last one. And come on back down. Okay. Last set, I'm going to turn sideways just so I don't kick over my books. Come back to the right foot. Pick up the left knee. And this time we're just going to reach it back. And then knee up. So this is the basic or the first level of movement, right? Knee up, then reach back. Maybe you bend a little bit more into that supporting leg, or maybe you start to bend a lot into the supporting leg and then reach the left arm forward as well, and then pick up the knee, and then left arm forward, left leg back, right? You want to make sure that it's the same leg, otherwise it's like you're walking like a robot or a bear. Couple more here. As big or as small of a movement as you need. I like calling this stride asana. And then shake it out. We'll switch sides. So now left leg comes to stand. Whew. Belly bend to spine. Pick up the right leg. Maybe just that gentle reach back. Or maybe you start to deepen the bend on the knee, the reach of the torso forward. All right, doesn't take many of these till you really feel the glutes firing up. And it doesn't matter how wobbly it is because you're doing the work. Last one. And shake it out. Ditch the blocks off to the side of the mat or the top. Couple breaths. Notice whatever you notice. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, let it all go. Shake it out. All right. Come on to the top edge of your mat. Little draw off belly button to spine. Inhale, sweep the arms up to the sky. And exhale, forward fold. Oh, yeah, there we go. That feels good. Right? A little bend in the knees. You might bring your hands to your blocks if you have them, or your tins or your books. Little wiggle. Little sway. And then start to walk your hands or your blocks over to the right a little bit more. Maybe the hands are on the floor. You can play with bending or straightening one leg or the other and just see how that feels. Maybe even bending their left knee a little bit more and straightening the right leg. And then the opposite. And then back to center and then over to the left. Same thing, a little bendy, a little straighty. And come back to center. Inhale, a little partway lift. Exhale, fold. On your inhale, step your right leg back behind you, and then release your back knee to the floor or to your chip foam block. That might magically be there. And then inhale, come up for a little lunge. Shake it out a little bit. Back out of the hips, hug the legs toward each other, squeeze the bum, belly button to spine, shoulder blades on the back, and then start to sink into the front knee. So yes, we're not stretching the glutes here, but the glutes are intimately connected with the hip flexors. So you fire up the glutes, you lengthen through the hip flexors, and that can help release tension in the lower back. You might rest your palms on the thigh. You might do some sort of yoga thing. You can even bring your hands to your blocks if you wish, although that will go deeper. Really ground the front heel. Couple breaths. Okay. On your exhale, shift your hips back, extending through the front leg. Half splits. If you have a deeper variation, go ahead, slide out where you'd like to be. Otherwise, hands could be on hips or on blocks or on the floor. Wrap the right hip forward, draw your left hip back. Whew. And then peel those front toes back toward your face. Make sure you've got micro bend in that knee. Now, if your hands happen to be on blocks or on the floor, here's where you might start to walk them over to the left a little bit more. Keep drawing that left hip back. Excuse me, goodness. And if that doesn't feel good, then don't do it. Last couple breaths. Good. Inhale, ripple forward again, back into that front knee. Bring your both hands inside the front foot. Heel and toe out quite a bit wider on an angle. Your toes might be off the edge of your mat. So imagine if I was at the top edge of my mat. Hands might come inside that front knee. Allow the hips to sink a little bit, but not so you're just hanging out there. You want that little draw of the legs back to the center line. Notice if that front knee really wants to wing out to the side, then go ahead and roll to the front edge or the baby toe edge of that front foot. But keep hugging that front heel back toward you. You might stay up high or come on down to forearms or maybe forearms on a block. Some of you might take the right hand out a little bit wider or even up on a block. This makes that more accessible. And then sweep the left arm back behind you for the grab of the back foot. Wherever you need to be, last couple breaths. And slowly inhale back out of the hips. Walk that front foot back into neutral. And then walk your fingertips or your blocks forward. Inhale, lift the back leg high, standing splits. Okay, so again, don't open the hips out. Wrap that outer right hip toward the floor. Spiral inner right thigh up to the sky. This is a beautiful place to stay, right? You're getting probably a very intense hamstring stretch, or maybe you want a little bit more fire for those glutes. So exhale, bend both knees, curl into a little ball, bring your knees toward your nose. Inhale, lift back up. Exhale, curl. Maybe you de-weight your hands and it gets really wobbly, but that's okay. Last breath. Exhale, release, forward fold. Little wiggle, little bounce, little sway. Inhale, lift up part way. Exhale, let it all go. All right. On your inhale, step your left leg back. Release your back knee to the floor or to your block, chip foam block. Inhale, come up for a low lunge. Again, back out of the hips. Hug the legs toward each other. Squeeze the bum, belly button to spine, and then shift forward. Hands can go right wherever you want them to go. Squeeze the bum on that back leg. I know you're not going to feel like you want to after all the work that we've done, but that's okay. Last couple breaths here. Really, the more you squeeze the bum, the deeper you're going to get into those hip flexors. On your next exhale, shift your hips back, extending through the front leg. Half splits, hands can be on hips, on blocks, or on the earth. Really wrap that left hip forward as you draw the right hip back. It's going to have the feeling of sliding the front heel back toward you. Even if you have gone out into a deeper variation of splits, still feel that drag of the front heel back toward you. Little micro bend in that front knee. Again, some of you might stay here. Maybe you choose to walk your hands or your blocks over to the right. Keep wrapping that right hip back as you do that, though. Last few breaths wherever you need to be. And then inhale, slowly ripple forward again, back into the front knee. Bring both hands inside the front foot, heel and toe it out wider and on an angle. And then again, you might just stay here, feeling that little hug of the legs back toward each other. Sole of the foot can stay flat, or maybe roll to the baby toe edge of the foot. You might stay up high or come down low, or maybe one hand or forearm on a block, one not. Maybe you take the left hand out wider, reach around for the grab of the back foot. Now, if you're going for the back foot, make sure that you're not on your kneecap, that you're on your thigh, okay? It's just gentler. for your body. Last couple breaths wherever you need to be. Keep dragging that front heel back toward you, or at least feeling that sensation. It might not actually move. And slowly back out of it. Heel into the front foot back into neutral. Walk your fingertips or your blocks forward. Inhale, lift the back leg high, standing splits. Really wrap the outer left hip toward the floor, spiral the inner left thigh up toward the sky. Again, beautiful place to stay. Or exhale, curl into a little ball, bending both knees. Inhale, lift back up. Exhale, curl. Maybe you try de-weighting the hips. Last breath. And exhale, release, forward fold. Little wiggle, little sway, little bounce. Fingertips to shins. Inhale, lift up, part way. Exhale, let it all go. 2 more. Sigh or flutter your lips. Release. Okay, heel and toe your feet apart wider and on an angle. Again, your toes might be off the edge of your mat. And on your inhale, sit into squat or malasana. Now, this might not be where you want to be today, in which case, take your feet wider. Rest your elbows on your knees or your thighs. Some of you might choose to take a supported variation, bringing a block, or some books underneath your sit bones. Otherwise, stay here with me. Think of really pressing your elbows into your thighs to open. And you don't want to just be hanging out here, right? Feel like if you had to stand up, you could. And then, last little trick, can you de-weight your big toes so you're not rolling into the arches of the feet? You don't have to keep them lifted, but just know that you can. Last few breaths here. Wrap the shoulders onto the back. Long, long spine. Good. And then it's never a graceful transition. Bring your hands behind you. Ooh, sit down. Shake it out a little bit. Windshield wiper the knees. Little shake. Hope you are all feeling wonderfully warm and active through the glutes. Let's start to open through the hips a little bit more. So this is a very similar release to what we were just doing, but it's a passive stretch rather than an active one. Butterfly, soles of the feet together, knees wide. This is a really great place to sit up on a chip foam block. Tilts the pelvis forward, makes it more accessible. You have maybe blocks or pillows that you can bring underneath your knees for more support. And then try not to pull up on the toes, right? It just creates a sickle in the foot. So maybe the ankles lift tall, and then exhale slowly, come forward. So the thing is, the closer the heels are toward you, the more you're going to get into the groin. The further away they are, the more you're going to get into the outer hip and outer thigh. So maybe that's a better place for you today. A few breaths, wherever you need to be. You might stay long. You might round through the spine. Last breath here. And slowly inhale, roll up, use your hands, draw the legs toward each other, shake it out a little bit. All right. Now, bring your right shin in front of you, left shin out to the side. So for a 1990 stretch, the idea now is to start to stretch those muscles, those glutes, right, that we have strengthened. Some of you will definitely prefer to take this into pigeon prep, right, in which case extend that leg behind you, walk the leg in and back a little bit. Right? You can sit up tall or come down low. Otherwise, stay with me in 1990, and then maybe you have props or pillows nearby. Right? Maybe it feels really good to come forward over top of that shin, or probably over top of the thigh. So one of those two is going to be best. If you have props, you can prop them underneath your forehead. But a few breaths here, breathing into that space, finding some length. And I know a lot of you probably do this at the gym, right? You mobilize first, whether through myofascial release, foam rolling, or Theragun even. And then you strengthen it, you do your squats, and then maybe if you're lucky, you do a little bit of stretching after as well. Last few breaths, wherever you need to be. And slowly, gently use your hands to press the torso up. Shift the weight to the right. Swing that left leg forward. Shake it out a little bit. And we'll switch to the opposite side. Left shin forward, right shin out to the side. Again, this might be perfect for some of you in 1990. If you want to take pigeon prep, then sweep the right leg behind you. And then find wherever you need to go on this side. For me, it always ends up being over top of the thigh, unless I want to get into a different spot. You might stay up high. If you don't have any blocks, you can put your hands in prayer and rest your forehead on your thumbs. And then slow the breath down. And then start to observe your thoughts. So similar activity as we did at the start, right? Notice what's starting to come up. And it's usually in these moments of stillness when the brain starts to go a little bit crazy. Can you acknowledge those thoughts, but let them go? And just return to your breath or any other physical sensation in the body. Last few moments here. And slowly, gently press yourself up. Swing your right leg forward. Shake it out a little bit. And then come down onto your back. So we did a lot of single leg stuff, so it's important to reset the pelvis. So bring the feet to the floor, hip width apart, parallel-ish, close enough into your bum that you can tickle your heels with your fingertips. And once we go from single leg into dual leg or two leg positions, that's when it can sort of help reset the pelvis and bring a little bit of stability back. So press the feet into the floor as you inhale, peel your pelvis and your spine up and away. You might pause at the top. You could rest your hips on your hands. Some of you might walk onto the outside edge of the shoulders. Maybe you clasp your hands behind your back or bend the elbows and use the heels of the hands to lift the hips up higher. Some of you might choose to take wheel if you'd like to, but the idea is just to let the pelvis settle. And you might gently press the feet away and see how that feels, and then hug the feet back toward you, and then just find somewhere in between those two activations. Gentle squeeze of the bum. Last couple breaths here. And then slowly release all the way down to the floor. Take the feet mat width apart. Let your knees hang in toward each other. And gently draw your knees toward your chest. A little rock from side to side. And then take your right arm out to the side. You might shift your hips to the right a little bit to start with. Exhale, lower your knees to the left for a twist. As always, you can take any variation of twist that you'd like to, whether the knees are stacked. If they're really hovering and it's a trial to be here, you could bring a block or a pillow underneath your knees or maybe between them. Let the feet rest though, right? So they're not hovering. Ideally, you don't have to do any work to be here. You can rest one hand on the top thigh. Maybe you look along the right arm. Last few breaths here. And then inhale back to center. Reset your spine or your pelvis. Maybe shift the hips left. Exhale, lower the knees to the right. Again, any variation of twist, and even with twists, it doesn't have to be the same variation that you did on the first side. Particularly if you have anything going on with your SI joint, it can feel really quite different from one side to the other, from one variation to another. A few breaths here, slow and sweet. Last couple of breaths. And inhale, slowly come back to center. Again, reset your spine, your pelvis. Hug your knees toward you. Take them wide out toward your shoulders. Little rock from side to side. This is a beautiful place to stay. Maybe you kick your feet to the sky. You can grab the backs of the thighs, outside of the legs, the ankles, or the feet for happy baby. Really reach your sit bones to the far wall rather than letting you round through the spine. Right, long neutral spine. You can rock side to side. Whatever feels good here. Last couple breaths, you might extend one leg or the other. And then slowly bring the knees back to center. Release the feet to the floor. And then come down onto your back for your rest. You might be here in Shavasana. You might rest on your side or in a seated meditation. Wherever you need to be, take a few breaths to find that pose of rest. And then inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh. Breath away. A couple more, just like that. And then stay here as long as you would like to. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.